Hello, Michael Arnon here again, and Bernard the Barrister Bear. Hello! This video is called The Forgotten of Remembrance Sunday. That's a bit of a contradiction in terms, isn't it? Deliberately. The watchword of Remembrance Sunday is, of course, lest we forget. We will never forget those who lay down their lives for the nation in all the different wars. That's the idea. But it, like so much else in British public life, it's a sham. It's a pretense. The cenotaph, simple inscription on the cenotaph in Whitehall, where the ceremony takes place every year, is "The Glorious Dead." You get the impression that those who lay down their lives are remembered and respected. That's not entirely true. About 500,000 soldiers serving, men and women, who lost their lives in World War I, have no grave, no known grave. They are missing in action. How did that happen? It happened because the government, those in power, treated the serving soldiers and sailors not with respect, but with disdain. Treated them as just so much cannon fodder, and even as dead meat, so that they are thrown into unmarked graves, or some of them probably no grave at all. 500,000 of them. And what for? What was World War I all about? Completely avoidable, and yet a lot of hype was created, so much so that people went around kicking dachshunds on the street, because a dachshund is a German dog. Poor little dachshund didn't know what was happening to it. It's often thought that the First World War was very popular. You've got young boys, 14, 15 years of age, pretending to be older in order to sign up to the army. Yes, there were some of those, and lots of them lost their lives. But there also was a certain amount of resentment. Lord Derby was behind a scheme to get people to volunteer to join the army. This was before conscription was introduced in 1916. And he had a system in place in which he got friends to encourage one another to sign up on the basis that the country was fighting, as he put it, the country is fighting for its very existence. Well, that was a complete lie. The country was not fighting for its very existence in World War I. Not at all. World War I began as an old-fashioned struggle for power between the great powers of Europe. And the only result it could have had if Germany had won would have been a slight rejigging of the power, the relative powers of Europe. It would not have resulted in the destruction of Britain. The complete lie. And in fact, 38% of the single men approached through Lord Derby's scheme, and 54% of married men declined to join. They resisted the pressure to enlist. Quite rightly so. So, of course, conscription was used. Another tactic, which also was a spin-off from Lord Derby's scheme, was the white feather campaign. This involved women going up to men who were not in uniform and rudely presenting them with a white feather indicating cowardice, and basically saying, you must sign up and go and die for me. It's your duty to die for me. Give up your life for me. Why? Some men were pressured into doing that. Was successful to quite a great extent. Sometimes these women picked on the wrong man, maybe someone who actually had served. One man, when presented with a white feather, showed the women concerned the fact that he had lost his hand in battle. Others were on leave from the army and weren't in uniform at the time. Others again were disdainful of it all. Fenner Brockway, the Labour MP, who actually lived to the age of 99, thanks to his ignoring this nonsense, said he'd been presented with so many white feathers, he could have made them into a fan. He could have turned them into a fan. He was imprisoned a few times, but he was never forced to join the army, and as I say, he lived to the age of 99. But not everyone was quite as brave as that. And that was World War I. What about World War II? Well, we may think World War II was more justifiable than World War I, but it grew out of World War I. The Peace of Versailles, which was imposed by the victorious Allies, that is Britain, America and France, on the defeated Germans particularly, was so punitive. It was said at the time by Lloyd George, the British Prime Minister, I will squeeze the lemon till the pips squeak. Well, is that the way really to create world peace? Of course it backfired badly. Backfired very badly. Woodrow Wilson, the American president, had his so-called 14 points. 14 points. One of the main ones essentially being the right of every ethnic group, or linguistic group really, to have its own country. And so the Austro-Hungarian Empire was split up as a result of that. A whole lot of new countries were developed, But he also gave the idea to, for example, to Adolf Hitler to apply the same concept in regard to German ethnic groups. Hitler pointed out, after all, Memel, which is in Lithuania, is again, Memel is largely a German-speaking enclave. Shouldn't that be part of Germany? Danzig, which was near Poland, shouldn't that be part of Germany? 98% German people, German-speaking population. 98%. And, of course, the Sudetenland in Czechoslovakia. That was the one that he got Neville Chamberlain, the British Prime Minister, to agree to cede to Germany. But Hitler was a little greedy, and he decided to take the whole of Czechoslovakia, and it was when he invaded Poland that World War II really was sparked off. So it's not entirely the fault of the Versailles Treaty, but it had a lot to do with it. Certainly, had there never been a World War I, had World War I never taken place, there would never have been a World War II, obviously. More next time. Toodle-doo.